Okay, let's do this. It's Thursday, the 5th of March, 2026. Almost at the end of the first quarter of the year. Hope everybody out there is doing well. I wonder how things will go tonight. I promise not to be crashing around, knocking over screens, setting the place on fire. At least I'm not planning to do it, but I wasn't planning to do it last time either, but it happened. And there's a lesson in life there, folks, a lesson in life. You can plan all you like, but sometimes a spanner comes along and drops right into the works, and you have to adapt and make changes to your plans. But anyway, this isn't a psychology lesson. And funnily enough, somebody called Psychology Related has just popped up into the chat. Psychology Related. Maybe that's what tonight's stream will be, Psychology Related. Hello, whoever you are, and welcome. Quadrex is in the house. Welcome, Quadrex. Great to see you. Well, I'd like to say the same thing, but I can't see you. Maybe someday I'll see you. How was your week? Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I'm getting there, Quadrex. One day at a time. One day at a time. Sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you, and that's all we can do. What other way are you going to live your life but one day at a time? So anyway, you're almost welcome here. A lot of people in the chat already. And of course, John Wilson is waiting in the wings like a panther, waiting to pounce, or a cobra coiled up, waiting to strike. And we have a lot to strike at tonight. Pauline Dunlop said, "Hi, Rick, hope you're well. Sort this place we're living in out." Oh, if only I could. If only I could do what I want to do. Believe me, the place would change quickly, but maybe not for the better. Immigrants out, ASAP. Clean up Stormont. You know what I mean. If they have a record out, they trundles. Clean up Stormont. The best thing you could do with Stormont is flush it down the toilet. The whole rotten lot of them. To be quite honest with you, Pauline, that would be my modus operandi for a cleanup campaign. Flush the toilet. Flush the toilet. Oh, I'm just getting into the way of it here, just limbering up a little bit here, as you do. There's Dixie's in the house. Dixie's still hyping, and he's knackered. Well, I hope you're knackered from all the hyping you've been doing. And you can just sit back and relax. You sit back and relax and enjoy the show, Dixie. Okay, and the same goes for all of you. Vaughn Malone is in. Who else do we have? How did the March the 4th protest go? I have no idea what protest that is. Hello, no risk, no reward. Great work. You turn out. Much respect. Thank you. I just churn it out. That's all I do. How about getting Craig Houston on as third guest? I have no idea who Craig Houston is. No idea. Anyway, plenty to get through here tonight, folks. As you'll probably be aware, the lawfare on censorship and madness is continuing. There's now three Burkes, three of them effectively are going to be behind bars probably by tomorrow morning. The mother and one of the sons, and Enoch, and now one of the daughters, Amy Burke. So, maybe they'll all be locked up by Christmas. Who knows? Judge Cragen gets his way. Who knows? Francis Talla. I used to watch you years ago when you would record in your car. Yeah. Best place, best studio I've ever had, to be quite honest with you. Well done on how your channel has grown with all your food work. Yeah, plenty of food work. A little bit of hard work as well. I think maybe you would think that was what you were going to type whenever you had a little typo. So yeah. Oh, 420 audits. God bless you, my friend. He is gifted 5 no risk, no reward channel memberships. So, number one, thank you for doing that, 420. You're benefiting other people in the live chat. So basically, the way that this works, folks, is that if you become a channel member, there's a little button underneath the channel that says join. There's an extra video I put up every Wednesday night that's a Q&A specifically for channel members. You get to ask me anything. And because there's so much chat and so many comments, literally on a weekly basis, there could be 5 to 10,000 comments under the videos. I cannot keep up with them. I just cannot keep up with them at all. So I have a channel membership where people can become members and they can get direct access through specific posts. And then I record a one-on-one video for channel members every Wednesday. So 5 of you now will be availing of that. I'm not sure how that works. 420, whether or not you can select who those people are, or if they're divvied out automatically. I don't have any control over that. But thank you for doing that anyway. It's much appreciated. And like I said, it's benefiting some of the other chat members here. Craig Houston. I have no idea who Craig Houston is. To be honest with you, I don't really follow a whole lot of other people. I keep my circle tight and have enough to be getting on with all this nonsense that I'm covering before looking around what anyone else is doing. But anyway, 420s appreciate it. You do great work as well. Yes, he does, folks. Go on to his, if you search on YouTube, please kindly give him a follow. 420 Audits. If you search for 420 Audits, AUDITS, Ireland, you'll find him on there. So go up there and give him a follow and watch his content. He goes out and about. He's a roamer. He roams around and one thing and another. So he does sterling work. So God bless you, 420. Rick, you have a lot of advertising. I hear. Hello, how's John? John is going to join me very shortly. Yes, I'm not sure about advertising. There's advertising right across this channel. And the advertising that I'm interested in is you guys sharing out the content. So if you haven't already done it, hit the like button, hit the share button, drop this broadcast, if you want to call it that, out into your Facebook groups, your WhatsApp groups, whatever groups that you may be part of, or you can send it as an email or just a text message to someone, or if you have your own social media page, give it some publicity there if you feel led to do so. I know some people are very staunch supporters of this channel. Other people can take it or leave it. Either way, it's all good with me. So, yeah. Thanks for all your hard work. I'm not sure if that's directed at me, but I'll take that one. Halo test. I'll take it. And thank you. Thank you. Butch Cassidy is already a 420 follower. Good. Everyone get on there and follow 420 Audits. 420 Audits. Follow 420 Audits, please. He said it's random. Fair enough. Well, you actually know more about this than I do. I'm not sure how that works, but it's random. So anyway, five subscribers will now be channel members for a month, and you can get on there and you can see those secret videos that I post up that no one else can see every Wednesday night. Ooh, aren't you the lucky ones? So yeah, get on there and have a look at that. See how you're getting on. Let's see. Yeah, logical Captain Kirk says it's raining. I think that's translated means that's raining quite hard, quite heavy. And yes, it's very heavy rain here today up in the northeast corner of Ireland. Or Northern Ireland, if you want to call it that, or the north of Ireland, or Northern Ireland, or the occupied 6 counties. Call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. Francis Talla just shared to X. Thank you, Francis Talla, for doing that. Linda J, Roisin O'Riordan here. This is just an email attachment to my phone with the name Francis Talla on it. I was in Dublin with Jean and Kath singing for Liberty. Oh, good for you. Yeah, Jean's an absolute warrior. So's Kat. So that's good. So thank you for that, and for also keeping me right for your identity. For your identity, because sometimes you don't know who you're talking to. Kiki and Jasmine, welcome. Give John Waters some support on Sunday, folks. He's doing his first live stream on his channel at 8. Yes. John Waters, good, thoroughly decent chap altogether, who's been a guest on this little effort of mine several times now. And also when I was doing TNT, he was a semi-regular guest. So yeah, he has his own live stream on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Mark that one down for your diaries, folks. I think his channel is Substack channel is called John Waters Unchained. So I think his YouTube channel, I think he started one up. It's called the same thing, unless I'm mistaken. John Waters Unchained. So yeah, get on there and give John some love also. Rick, can I ask you something? Please post any functions or upcoming events that I could attend. I might if I knew, but I'm never informed about anything that's going on. I have to usually try and find it out myself, and I don't have the time to go looking for events or things that might or might not be happening. So with respect, and I mean this literally with respect, no, unless it's something that I'm aware of and is brought to my attention and is something significant that a lot of people could get at. I usually do mention things on these live streams, and if there's an event that's well publicized and organized, I'll put a post up on my community post. But feeling that I'm I'm not notified about stuff that goes on. Almost never. Strange that, isn't it? Strange, don't you think? Or maybe it's not. But anyway, yeah, my advice is just keep your eye out for things on social media and follow channels that do things like that, and then just get notifications whenever they happen. So you could try that. Hello, Rick. Love the videos. Thank you for keeping those of us in the States in the loop on what's going on. No problem at all, Derek. You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. 1 o'clock Sunday, Mountjoy Prison. So there you go. 1 o'clock Sunday, Mountjoy Prison. I'm guessing that's something to do with Enoch Burke. The only thing is he's not there anymore. He's been transferred to Castlereagh Prison in County Roscommon. So maybe if someone's down in that neck of the woods, there'll be some presence there on Sunday. But failing that, there you go. Someone's put up a notification, 1 o'clock Sunday, Mountjoy Prison. Judges don't need law degrees in the UK. Their selection is random. Why is this the case? What are the credentials of this Cregan character? Well, I'm not sure. I have no idea who he is. Tiger Feet, your first live. Well, let's hope it's not your last. Let's hope you're not put off it altogether, and maybe even you come back again. Your man. With that Dublin Live YouTube channel got arrested at a protest, I heard. Again, there's several Dublin YouTubers out there. I'm not sure who that is. I did see one guy, I think he's called This Is Dublin. He got lifted, but he's out again. So there's several of them. There's Dublin videos, there's 420 audits, there's seen that one, DC Roams, there's Tinker, there's Paul Nolan, there's This Is Dublin, lots of them. I'm just going off the top of my head. It's going to the top of my head. The Crumb is a tourist attraction. I don't know. It was a shithole back then. Is that the Crumlin Road jail in Belfast you're talking about, or are you talking about Crumlin in Dublin? Which one are you talking about? Your man now, not your one. Right, okay. Your man. Your man. Your man. Your man. Your ma's your da, and your da's your ma, and your man's your mon. Mon. I think that's what you're trying to say. Or maybe it's not. Anyone who's just tuned in here for the first time will be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But anyway, it's that special time, folks. And if I had a virtual drum roll, I would be doing it right now. And I've actually scrolled down, and I'm happy to be joined again. John Wilson wasn't able to make it tonight, but his twin, his stunt double, is joining me here tonight, the one and only Jerry Adams. So without any further ado, welcome to Jerry Adams, and he's going to be telling us what he's been getting up to behind closed doors. Welcome, Jerry.
Good evening, Yakara.
Transigent.
I too don't believe in the politics of condemnation. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, I suppose, as well. I have to say hello to all the gentlemen watching as well.
Yeah.
Quite a lot has happened since we last spoke 2 weeks ago, Rick.
A lot.
And as you're aware, I was reduced to going down to the third or fourth, or was it even the fifth division of podcasting last week? I did a podcast with Mr. Dwyer. We spent a few very enjoyable hours together, chatting and discussing the world, putting the world to right, and discussing all of the troubles in the world. Come here. I'm surprised you don't know who Craig Houston is. I saw one of the messages there, or a couple of messages there.
No, I don't know who Craig Houston is.
Craig Houston is a Scottish podcaster. He's a very, very good Scottish podcaster. I follow him on YouTube as well. And you tried to sing One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus, earlier on when you started off. You were trying to be hip.
I did.
Well, I think the version by Gloria, I think it's the best version. I think it was written by Chris Christopherson, and Lena Martell had a big hit in the 70s as well. But Gloria, our own Gloria, had a fantastic version of it in 1976. I remember it well. It was played about 1,000 times a day on the radio. And I got a little bit peeved off after a while, but it was played many, many times every day. But no, it was a great song. It is a fantastic song. And can I first, before we get started, I just want to offer my heartfelt condolences to People Before Profit, to Paul Murphy, to Ruth Coppinger, and to all of the other hard left politicians in this country who are at this time grieving the loss of their supreme leader. I just want to wish them, I just want to offer them my heartfelt condolences, along with, I say, Sinn Féin and many of our other traitorous politicians, that they are very concerned about what's happening in the Middle East now. The fact that this vile scumbag has been sent to meet his, well, he's gone to hell. I mean, as we speak, he's trying to extinguish the fires all around him, because that's where he belongs, that vile creature. But no, our left, or I saw the video you posted last night. I sent you a message today about it. Absolutely. It beggars belief that these vile leftist scum were videoed, were pictured, were recorded abusing real Iranians, people who actually know what they're talking about, people whose parents had to flee from Iran. And
I have a little clip, John. The one that got the most attention last night was the Belfast clip.
Oh my God!
Where
horrendous.
If people haven't seen it, check out the video that I uploaded last night. Where it's the title is "Go Home," where the most bizarre sight you will witness, or maybe not bizarre, but it just shows you that these people have no idea what they're doing. But you have a group of radical left-wing lunatics wearing their tea towels tightly around their necks, talking to a group of Iranians, an actual group of Iranians, telling them that they're puppets and they don't know what's really going on in their own country, and that they should be silent, and that they know nothing about really what they want. It's unreal. I actually have another clip, John, from the Dublin event also that was held. I'll maybe play that after we cover the Burke business.
Who are you calling an idiot? Oh, who are you calling an idiot? Yeah. He was almost forehead to forehead with the young Iranian man who called him an idiot. Well, you are an idiot, whoever the hell you are. You are a stupid idiot. You're a useful idiot.
What happened to say it loud, say it clear? Refugees are welcome here, as long, of course, that they don't actually contradict anything that the loony left are standing for, protesting for. And one of the women said, you know, if you don't like it, you don't like the way we are here, then go home, go back to Iran. I mean, like, does that not sound like the sort of language that you could expect at a radical far right event rather than the loony left party?
You mean the mythical far right? You know what? I'm sorry for any of these hard left lunatics that are colorblind, because they're waving so many flags that they can't figure out. They don't know what flags that they're actually waving from day to day. They're obsessed with what's going on now in the Middle East. Most of these fucking idiots could not find Iran on a map, and now they've all suddenly become experts in Iranian politics. Listen, I haven't slept much since last Saturday, to be totally honest with you, because my son, as you know, is in Abu Dhabi. And since Saturday, a combination of 2,000, a combination of missiles and drones, suicide drones, in excess, approximately 2,000 weapons or missiles and drones have been fired by these vile scumbags, soon to be no more scumbags, into the United Arab Emirates. We've heard a lot of coverage about the drones being fired at Dubai, but most of these drones were fired into Abu Dhabi, and missiles were fired into Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi is the capital. The American Air Force, the American military base is in Abu Dhabi. All of the embassies are in Abu Dhabi. Okay, there are some consulates in Dubai, but the main embassies are in Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi is the capital of the United Arab Emirates. There are 7 emirates in the UAE. Most people can only name Abu Dhabi and Dubai, but there are a total of 7 emirates in the United Arab Emirates, including one emirate that specializes. There's a massive shopping mall. I was dragged around it for about 5 hours there last March. I had to smile and pretend I enjoyed the experience. But anyhow, the ladies listening would love this place. It's in Sharjah. I think it's the name of the place. But anyhow, getting back to the leftists, absolutely, it's appalling to watch these idiots abusing real Iranians. It is absolutely appalling. These people, they hate Israel so much. They hate the Americans so much. Now, I know they have TDS, they have Trump derangement syndrome, but they hate every American regime. They hate every American president. These people are, I mean, if you want to know what true enemies of Ireland look like, just take a look at these fools. These people are dangerous idiots. Okay, they're entitled to protest all they like, but they're not entitled to abuse these poor old dibbles that are actually praying to God Almighty that at last, after 47 years, their homeland will be freed from these vile Islamist scum who should be wiped off the planet in their entirety. I have no sympathy for them. I do not care. The vile supreme leader, Khamenei, his son is now the new supreme leader. I hope he joins his father now before the weekend even starts.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Actually, we'll just show this clip because it's only a couple of minutes long. But this is to show you the mentality of these deranged left loons. I mean, I watch these videos and I see them, and I see a lot of middle-aged and older men and women who are losing their minds, and they're on the streets and they're ranting and raving, and they really don't know what they're talking about. And when confronted with natives of said lands, Iranians who are there celebrating, and listen, you can be for what's happened, you can be against what happened, you can be pro-Iran, you can be anti-Iran, you can do whatever you want. The fact is, you should be able to express your opinion without some loon shooting or shouting you down. And that's exactly what we saw in Belfast, and that's exactly what we saw in Dublin. So I'm going to play this this video clip just to let people see what's actually going on, and then from there we'll look at the expanding Burke saga that seems to be it's mushrooming, John, week by week, month by month, year by year. It's mushrooming, and it's taken a sinister turn today. I don't know if you've seen the video I did earlier on, but Enoch Burke has been transferred to Castlereagh Prison in County Roscommon. He's also been put on a special wing to be with the sex offenders for his own protection, because they believe he's at a risk of being attacked in general population, which he wasn't. Which he wasn't when he was in Mountjoy Prison. But we'll get into the psychology behind that in just a minute. But I want to go to this video here, and then we'll come back to this disturbing case also, where Martina and Amy Burke have been warned to keep their heads down by an ex-prison governor when they go to probably Mountjoy. But let's go to the loony left, and then we'll pivot to the always right.
People, it's not up to the United States and the European Union and everybody else to tell a sovereign country how they should run their country, and they were not threatening anybody.
We know what we're doing. We're Iranian. I don't know what they are doing.
Well, we're protesting because this is a new war that Trump and Netanyahu have created. It's totally illegal. There's no UN resolution. It's against US law. It hasn't been taken to the Congress. They were allegedly discussing with the Iranians 2 weeks previously. It sounded good from the minister from Oman, thought they had something on Friday evening, and we wake up on Sunday to hear that Trump and Netanyahu have bombed Iran, and they're extrajudicially killing people. We have no love for the Iranian regime in any means, but this is purely an imperialist war.
So this guy here, John, let's get his mug up here. Let's just see, let people see. This here is your typical left-wing activist now. And since Christmas, we're now into March, John, and we've been doing these streams pretty much from the start of the year. So we've, of course, seen the Palestine flag, ad nauseum. We've also seen the Ukrainian flag. We have seen the Venezuelan flag, only for a few days, though. Few days we've seen the Venezuelan flag. We've seen the Sudanese flag about 2 weeks ago, and now we're on to Iran. So what's that? Five flags since January, and it's now March. In the last 8 weeks, that's approximately a new flag every 2 weeks. How ridiculous is this getting?
Well, first of all, he said he has no love for the Iranian regime. Well, you're doing a damn good job of being an Iranian, kind of a useful idiot, working on behalf of the Iranian regime, you muppet. You're doing a very good job of working on their behalf, because that's what you're doing there. You'll be portrayed now in Iran as being on their side. So saying that you have no time for the Iranian regime, I mean, the only way to get rid of this regime is by force. You can't get rid of these people will not go peacefully. You have to get rid of them by force. End the flipping story. All right. And here's the main question I want to pose to that idiot and his colleagues there. All right. The Iranian regime, under the leadership of the now late departed supreme leader, murdered in excess of 45,000 Iranians over the last 3 months, who were out protesting against the vile Islamic murder machine that had been running Iran since 1979, since the Ayatollah Khomeini came back from France. Now, the Shah was overthrown by Jimmy Carter, played a major part. The American regime played a major part. They played a major part in overthrowing the Shah. Okay, there's no two ways about it. In the same way that the CIA overthrew the democratically elected Iranian president back in 1953 when he decided to nationalize the oil industry. Okay, so let's be honest about it. All right, but here's the thing: I didn't see this man and his other lefty lunatic colleagues out protesting after the 45,000 plus Mainly
No.
young Iranian men and young Iranian women were butchered, were murdered, were shot down in cold blood by the vile Islamists who are acting on behalf of the supreme leader. Okay, who has now gone to burn in hell for eternity, because that's where he belongs. All right. These people are just, they are communists. These people are communists. They hate capitalism. They want to destroy, their main goal is to destroy capitalism, to drag down capitalism. And I have a question for you, Mr. Whoever you are, right? What did communists use before candles? What did communists use before candles? The answer is electricity. Okay, that's what communists used before. That's what they used before candles. All right. These people are vile. Everyone's entitled to protest. Let them protest all they like. Okay, but these people, they are. Let's be honest about it. Gulags before people. I think they're gulags before people. All right.
Yeah.
They are hard left zealots who want to destroy capitalism. All right. They want us all to live in a communist utopia, a communist wonderland. That's what they want. But the only difference when Ronald Reagan came here in 1984, there were big protests in Dublin. I was a young guard there at the time, and but at that stage there were only a little rump, a kind of a very tiny number of people. Well, a tiny number of people in comparison to the population of the country. But that number has grown enormously. The percentage of people who now see themselves as being on the left or on the far left of Irish politics, it's quite a number of Irish people see themselves. I mean, totally agree with what this idiot is saying here. They totally subscribe to this toxic, poisonous, Marxist, communist ideology that this guy and his colleagues are spouting. That's the sad reality. That's the sad reality here.
They're on the streets most weekends. I mean, like, there's an ongoing pro-Palestine protest going on in Cork, I think, every Saturday, and has been for I don't know how long. I mean, like, they just keep at it. Yeah, they're all over the place. And the same outside Belfast City Hall. But let's go back into this clip. This was taken outside. This was taken down in Dublin, I believe, this week. But there's a group of Iranians there also who are basically telling it how it is, and that this man needs to wind his neck in and get educated about what he's talking about. But let's hear what they have to say in countering to his spouting.
We have no love for the Iranian regime in any means, but this is purely an imperialist war. There's no question of it. So that's why we're here. We say hands off Iran, no more war.
So I think it's absolutely reprehensible that our government cannot condemn what's happened. It is a breach of international law. The Spanish Prime Minister was able to say so. What is wrong with our government that they cannot defend the rights of sovereign nations?
We're counter-protesting people before profit, because they're out here protesting that they want the US military and Israeli to end. And basically they don't know anything about the Iranian people. We are the Iranian people. There's no Iranian people over there. And they're just making their own ideologies, and they're not listening to the majority of the Iranians that have asked for regime change. They want to move away from this regime. For 47 years, they have oppressed people, and they have not made any changes to the government to make it any less dictatorship-like.
We're happy with what is happening. We're hoping to take over the country by people, and we bring our Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as a leader of transition. Then we're going to have a ballot box to decide what kind of government we want to have, what kind of actually system we want to work. Then we know what we're doing. We're running.
I want to. Someone commented on the video that I put up last night. He made a valid point. He says, "You know what? These foreign protests happening on the streets of Ireland, north, south, east, west, and that big bit in the middle, and Irish people coming out to either support or counter protest about stuff that's going on in another country. In this case, it's Iran. We had Venezuela. We had Sudan. we had Ukraine, we had Palestine. Given the misery that just about everyone inhabiting the island of Ireland is starting to feel to a greater or lesser degree with regards to their future, their mental health, their availability to health services. Schools are now closing down and subjects are being dropped in Irish schools because they can't fill teaching positions.
Yeah,
I'm going to show you a clip about the Children's Hospital with this balloon of a health minister who literally says, but we've got bins in the toilets on the 6th floor, and we've got soap dispensers. And someone said, well, the place isn't open yet. He said, yeah, but we're ready for when it does open. And passing the buck on here, there, and everywhere. Roads, you're seeing the roads crisis. People, you said, commuting for hours at a time.
Yeah.
You know, people being made, homeless. 36 people this week in one development alone. Losing their jobs, being made homeless. I mean, why? What is it? What is it with this? Is this a distraction? Is this people refusing to accept what's happening on their own doorstep, so they have to turn their eyes to a far country to get their mind off it, or they just completely demented? I just don't get it. Why aren't they out screaming about the housing crisis?
No, in the same way they're not out screaming about the 45,000 plus young Iranian men and women that were murdered over the last few months. When you hear somebody using the word imperialist, you know they're a tosser right away, okay? And this genius also mentioned Spain, the Spanish government, right? Another hard left government, which doesn't surprise me, okay? Keir Starmer is so afraid. Keir Starmer is a testosterone-free zone. He is afraid of the Islamists. There's the HMS Dragon. I think it's HMS Dragon. It's a Royal Navy warship. It was meant to leave for Cyprus last week, at the beginning of last week or whatever, okay? When there was there was talk, there were rumblings of a conflict breaking out in Iran, and the Royal Navy warship was meant to go across to Cyprus, because part of the deal when Cyprus got their independence, part of the deal was that the Royal Navy, that the British government would take care of their security. Okay, that's part of the deal, all right? But Starmer is so afraid of the Islamists in the UK. He's so afraid of upsetting the Islamists, the growing number of Islamists that are residing in the UK, that he didn't order, that warship has not even left port yet, and it's not scheduled to leave now until sometime next week, and it'll take a considerable amount of time to get from England, from Portsmouth to Cyprus, okay? He is so captured. Now, if this mission is successful, if the US and Saudi Arabia and the rest of those countries, there are many, you would think by listening to those idiots that there's nobody supporting the US and Israel's efforts to get rid of this horrible Islamic regime and that has blighted Iran since 1979. You'd swear nobody was supporting them. All of the surrounding countries, most of the surrounding countries, Saudi Arabia, who are no paragons of virtue, I can tell you, when it comes to human rights, they're supporting this. Bahrain, all of the Emirates, the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, all of these countries, even Qatar, are supporting the efforts of the United States of America and Israel to get rid of the this Islamic terror regime. Now, here's for the information of the many people listening to this podcast, or will see it in the coming days. By getting rid of this horrendous Islamic regime in Iran, they will also be getting rid of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Al Qaeda, to name just three more. Okay, they'll be getting rid of the vile Islamic regime in Iran, and they'll be getting rid of about three other terrorist organizations: Hamas, Hezbollah, and Al Qaeda. All right. Now, those people protesting outside the GPO and in Belfast. I went to Abu Dhabi twice last year, okay, to the UAE twice last year. I was lucky enough to get out there for the first and second time ever, right? Guess how many Palestinian flags I saw flying in the UAE during my 2 visits there?
I'm guessing none.
Zero. No, not one Palestinian flag. I can take a drive around Cavan and across into Fermanagh, and I'll see several Palestinian flags. Okay, but that young Iranian lady was very, very. She was totally right when she said that these people have no idea, basically no idea. To paraphrase her, they have no idea what they're talking about. They are basically all quoting directly from the Little Book of Bollocks. They know nothing about Iran. They know zilch about Iran. They can only spout words like imperialist. When someone uses that word, you know they're just tossers. That's all they are. They're just communist shills. That's all they are. And that idiot in the north, just to reiterate what he said, he has no great support for the Islamic regime. Well, he's doing a very, very good job of acting as a useful idiot on their behalf, as are the rest of them.
There's one thing you're not short of in the island. It's useful idiots or useless idiots in the case of the left. I want to go to, because there's quite a few things I want to make sure actually get covered tonight. And I want to focus back onto what's happening on our own soil, as it were, the soil of the Emerald Isle. Now, if for those who have maybe not been following the news this week, let me get rid of her and look at this. In fact, I'll play this little clip. This is the clip of the arrest, or the order for the arrest of Martina and Amy Burke. Amy, however her name is pronounced. That is the mother and the sister of Enoch Burke. So Judge Cregan has ordered that they be arrested and each of them be imprisoned for 2 weeks. They didn't show up to the court yesterday. Last week, there was a squad of around 8 to 10 guards were there they preempted that they would be ordered to be arrested. They were there to pick them up. Last week, they left empty-handed because he didn't make the order until yesterday, Wednesday. So anyway, long story short, they have been jailed, or they will be jailed for a fortnight apiece for contempt of court. Now, let's see the news clip in relation to this from yesterday for those of you who aren't up to speed with the background here.
Be believed the remarks of Mr. Justice Brian Cregan in the High Court this morning. He described the sight of Enoch Burke, his mother Martina and sister Amy all shouting and roaring at the court last month as astonishing and an affront to the administration of justice. He said he listened carefully to Martina Burke last Friday when she complained that her son had been in prison for over 600 days and denied his constitutional rights. The judge said he had no doubt Martina could persuade her son to change the disastrous course of action he has embarked upon, but said they were impervious to reason.
I want to stop it there. This judge, whether he is for or against the Burkes behind closed doors, he'll have a prejudice or a leaning one way or the other. Do you not find that his language is extremely derogatory, John? Not just for Enoch Burke. He's called him a stalker, he's called him a menace, he's called him this and that and the other. And now he's, how would you say, attacking the mother and the daughter. And granted, if he felt that they were loud and out of order, he did order them to be taken from the courtroom. Fair enough, he's the judge, you have to play ball. But whenever it crosses from removing someone from the court to then slurring them and calling them disgraceful people. And even there he said, like, all she has to do is say the word and Enoch will drop all of this. That's a passive aggressive, in my mind, narcissistic way of manipulating someone to say, you know what, this is all your fault, Martina. You have the power as the matriarch of that family, it would appear, to say the word, and Enoch has no will of his own. He's just following your orders. Where does he get that from?
Because the learned judge is frustrated and annoyed, and he can't understand why the Burke family won't bend their respective knees, their collective knees before him, and give him the respect that he says that I'm sure he expects from the Burkes. The Burkes won't yield. We discussed this before when the government were planning, and I outlined what I believed was the plan to get rid of them. I believed that the plan was to prosecute them for criminal contempt, to fine them large sums of money, and to take their house off them. That was the ultimate plan, I believe, and I think it's still in the background. He gave them 2 weeks in prison for contempt of court. Okay, now let's just take a look at the 2 weeks. Let's say now that let's say that a judge were to jail a criminal for theft for 2 weeks. All right. Do you know how long a criminal will be confined to a prison if he or she turns up to a prison having been sentenced to 2 weeks imprisonment? I'd say the average time, if they're not released that day, they'll definitely be released, and they'll be let out on temporary release. They'll be released on what's known as temporary release within a couple of days. I'm 100% sure of that. What temporary release means is they're still technically doing a prison sentence, even though they're on temporary release. They're still doing that. It's not. They haven't been released for good behaviour or for time served. When somebody is released on temporary release, that person is technically as good as still inside in the prison. Only they're doing their sentence while in their own house or wandering around the streets. But I can guarantee you, right, the timing of this decision is very interesting. Cast your mind back 12 months ago when the Burke family travelled to Washington, D.C., and they protested outside of Friends of Ireland, big, expensive, exclusive dinner dance that was taking place, all right? And the Burkes gained entry. They gained entry, and they and they created a scene in front of all the great and the good of Irish America, all right? I suspect the timing is very interesting of this decision. Was this decision made to stop them, to frustrate their efforts to travel to the US again? It'd be very interesting to know if they have tickets bought for the US for this year as well as the same as they did last year. It'd be very, very interesting to find out if they had planned to go to America this year as well. And was this prison sentence imposed on mammy and daughter just to stop them from to frustrate their travel plans? The comments made by the learned judge, in inverted commas, about the Burkes, yeah, very concerning. It doesn't seem very professional from that judge to be uttering these kind of statements.
Personal jibes.
Personal jibes. Now, who am I? Who am I, a mere commoner, to criticise a learned judge on the bench? Although he is a political appointee. Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Well, it's like you, John. You know, you spent decades as a guard, right? And I'm sure
many decades.
Sure you arrested people that you had a personal dislike for. That some people you didn't particularly maybe relish taking in at arresting them. They may be good people that had fallen foul of the law under the influence of something. Other people might have been habitual criminals that you were used to their faces. You knew their background. They were obnoxious people, but there's still a responsibility on your part, or anyone who's serving the public servants, to do your job professionally, without prejudice and without fear, and to treat everybody the same, and everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So that's why I find this whole digging, this whole jibing, and this side swipes that this guy's having at the Burkes. Granted, he doesn't have to like them. And he can do whatever he can not to countenance them in his courtroom. But whenever judgment is passed, to make these swipes, calling them a circus and calling them this and that and the other, and about how they're obnoxious and they're, insufferable people, I just believe it's become a very personal thing, and he can't even hide that. Now, I want to keep playing this video because there's some more information on it in relation to some of the things that he said about them, and then we'll get on to their actual incarceration, because it does look like they're heading towards Mountjoy, maybe for longer than the in and out session that you would have proposed that most people would go through, but I think they won't be doing that in this case. But let's see the rest of this little clip.
The judge said their behaviour could not continue, as he found Martina Burke to be guilty of contempt of court, making the same finding against her daughter Enoch Burke, whom he said had lost all sense of professional propriety as a solicitor. Having considered all of the circumstances, he said Martina and Enoch should be sentenced to 2 weeks imprisonment, as he made an order for their attachment and committal. He said he would also be sending documents to the Law Society of Ireland for them to consider a disciplinary investigation into Enoch Burke.
Right, let's stop right there as well. Okay. Enoch Burke is I believe, a qualified and practicing solicitor. There's no doubt that her employers or the people that she works with will not be familiar with this, because it's plastered all over the media. But again, we have Cregan saying that he's going to make a special recommendation to the Justice Society that they carry out a special investigation against Enoch Burke. Does he not think they're following this already? Does he not think she won't be in the crosshairs already? Is he not trying to add fuel to the already burning fire in her case?
Well, just a point in relation to the judge. Now, the judge has jailed them for contempt, and he has sent Enoch is now effectively. I mean, unless he purges his contempt, he could spend the rest of his life in prison. But anyhow, here's a very important point that I want to raise. Judge Cregan is literally the judge, jury, and executioner in this case. He's the complainant, the judge, and the sentencing judge as well. How is that fair? It should be a case of, if Judge Cregan believes that the Burkes are guilty of contempt of the court, then it should be up to another judge to adjudicate on the matter, not up to him to adjudicate on. He's acting as judge, jury, and executioner in this case. It's a very unfair system we have in relation to alleged contempt of court or alleged contempt of court, okay? Where a judge can decide, yes, you're guilty of contempt, I am finding you guilty of contempt, and I'm going to impose a sentence on you for contempt of court, for contempt in my court, okay? So you have the judge. I mean, this can't be legally. It can't be legally justified, where a judge can actually act as judge and jury and sentencer in his or her own court. I mean, this system has got to be open. It has to be challenged. I mean, it should have got it's open to challenge, because how can a judge be the complainant, then the judge of fact, and then the imposer of a penalty in relation to the alleged offence? How is that just? How is that just? How is that justice?
Well, it's not. You can see some of the comments here in the live chat as well. And thank you, by the way, folks, for every single message that's there. Literally over these streams, there's thousands of these messages get done, literally thousands. So we miss quite a lot of them, but I am watching out of the corner of my eye, and a lot of people are saying it seems to have gotten very, very personal indeed, especially now in connection with, because don't forget, that's an attempt to wreck her career, and she's still a relatively young lady, and she's worked hard to get into that position, and effectively he's trying to scupper the whole thing through this case and this contempt case.
No, I still say what I said in an earlier podcast. I believe that because the Burkes won't bend the knee to them. The Burkes will not yield. They will not yield. They won't allow anybody from outside of the Burke family circle to enter the Burke family circle. They are operating as a standalone unit. I think there's 8 or 10 children, isn't there? I think there is.
I think there's 10 of them, plus the mum and dad. Sean and Martina.
Nobody is allowed. No outsider is allowed inside the Burke family circle. All right. And they will not bend the knee to. They are just, listen. People may believe on God, or they mightn't believe on God. But these people, they believe that our Lord Jesus Christ is the only judge that they will yield to. They will not yield to any mere mortal on the bench, regardless of he or she is wearing a wig or otherwise. All right. And it's very obvious now that Judge Cregan is very frustrated with them, and the fact that they won't bend the knee to him, they won't yield to him. They won't just throw themselves at the mercy of the court and then kind of take whatever punishment that he dishes out. They are fighting every single centimeter of the way, every single inch of the way. They will not yield. They will not yield 1 centimeter or 1 inch. All right. And that's frustrating the judge and the judiciary as a whole. They've now thrown him down to Castlereagh. All right. Now, if they think by sending him to Castlereagh, they're going to break his spirit, well, I'm afraid I have news for them. They're not. And another reason why he was sent to Castlereagh is because there are some fantastic people in Dublin, a small group of warriors who have protested outside Mountjoy now for the last few months, and they're there every weekend. Only a small number of great Irish patriots. All right. And I know many people have utter contempt for these people, but they have to be admired. They have to be given the thanks, and they have to be admired for what they've been doing for the last few months. They gather every weekend, every Sunday, and they spend a few hours outside just protesting and offering their support to Enoch Burke and to the Burke family. I'm not saying that support is appreciated by the Burke family. I don't know, but at least these people deserve credit for what they are doing. All right. Now, That's another reason I'd say that he was shipped off the Castlereagh. Don't be surprised now if he's shipped off the Cork prison as well, or down that direction. Don't be surprised, because they're going to use every weapon that they can to try and break him. They're going to try everything in their power to try and break him.
John, can I stop you there? Because I'll tell you why. I'm going to get to that on the next clip that we'll have. Okay, the reason for his transfer to Castlereagh and some of the how would you say, the tactics that have already been employed to try and break his spirit since he actually got there. But I want to just hold those thoughts on that. On Enoch Burke at the minute. Let's just go back to the end of this here to see what to be what can be expected for Martina and Amy if and when they end up in the Joy. So this is just the end of this quick report.
The pair did not attend court today. Isaac Burke addressed the court briefly and said they were at their place of work. Mr Justice Cregan has also banned Martina, Isaac and Amy Burke from attending future hearings involving Enoch Burke in person. They will have to log in and attend the proceedings remotely. He said it was long past time for the courts to call a halt to this family circus. Enoch Burke, who joined the proceedings via video link from Castlereagh Prison, called it a nefarious judgment. Deborah Naylor, Virgin Media News.
So he's in Castlereagh on a video link to watch this. The mother and sister are being told now that they're not allowed back into the court. If they want to come in from now on, it's going to be via a Zoom link. This is the a headline that was published tonight. How would you say, a little subtle warning here, if you want to call it that, or an attempt to unsettle these two women as they prepare to go to prison. The Burke women are advised to, quote, keep your heads down, unquote, in prison by an ex-governor. So the mother and sister of Enoch Burke have been sentenced to 2 weeks in prison for contempt of court. And they're also being told, and this is again out in the media headlines, the lamestream media, they're being told that because of overcrowding, don't expect to get your own cell. Don't even expect to share a cell. We're going to split you up and we're going to throw you in with the lags down there and keep your heads down as well. Is this not again, who are they to be talking in advance what their conditions will be like for a prisoner? Have you ever seen that for any other? Have you ever seen that for any of these sub-Saharans that are being sentenced?
No.
Have they been warned by the judge to keep their head down because they may not be favored when they have they been told that because of overcrowding they're going to have to share cells with other people and prepare? How come they're being singled out again? Is this not singling out for psychological warfare?
This is a form of psychological warfare, and I know from the time he was in Mountjoy. Now I attended a protest a couple of years ago, but a couple of protests, and it was actually a prayer vigil outside Mountjoy. But the hostility of some of the prison officers that we encountered leaving the premises wasn't very nice. Now, to be honest with you, a couple of guys came out now and they expressed when they became aware of our reason for being there, they weren't overly impressed. Like, there was a couple of expletives thrown our direction, and off they drove a couple of guys, right? This is psychological warfare. First of all, they won't be put together in cells anyway. I'd be very surprised if they're put together. But are there any pretend women in the Docus Centre at the moment? I wonder. Pretend women. It wouldn't surprise me if there are a few pretend women doing sentences in there as well in the Docus Centre. And you see, there is serious discrimination against female prisoners, because male prisoners, we had David Drum, the man who was convicted a couple of years ago of defrauding. If you remember the Anglo-Irish debacle, he was convicted and he got 6 years in prison. How many of your viewers know that he did very, very little time in a conventional prison? He was transferred down to an open prison after a very short time. And people in open prisons in Ireland, they get at least one weekend after a short time. They get at least one weekend a month at home. How many of your listeners and viewers know that? And also, to make their blood boil even hotter, that they are given a state mobile phone to use while they're in prison. and they can bring their phone home with them or whatever. And depending on how far they are away from the prison, from Loughlin House or any of the other open prisons, they may get an extra day. They may get a long weekend to allow them to travel back if they live a long distance away from the open prison. So the poor owl Burkes, I mean, there's no open prison for female prisoners. Female prisoners have to do all of their time inside in the Doka Centre in Dublin. So that's a major form of discrimination that has not been tackled yet. There is no open prison for female prisoners in Ireland. Amy and her mother, I would say, will do nearly every minute of the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When they are committed to Mountjoy Prison. I believe Enoch Burke made two serious mistakes. Number one was leaving over 40,000 euro in his bank account. I mean, knowing that, I mean, Christ, he should have known that the state were going to take the money off him, right? He should have emptied that bank account and spent the money in whichever way he wanted to spend it, and let them they have seized his wages anyway, so let them start off there, right? Yeah. The second big mistake Enoch made was when he was released there a couple of months ago or whatever, when he was let out to prepare for his appeal, he should have went straight to the American embassy and he should have claimed political asylum inside the embassy. That's the second thing he should have done, all right? But the state, we discussed in an earlier podcast, I put forward the suggestion that the government are determined to destroy the Burkes, and they were going to do I mean, as the listeners and the viewers will be fully aware, there was a story floated in the mainstream media that they were going to be charged with criminal contempt, and then the DPP decided not to prosecute several members of the Burke family with criminal contempt because somebody convicted of criminal contempt, there was an unlimited fine can be imposed on them, all right? And I think the plan was, and maybe still is, that they will fine them so much money that they'll end up taking their family home off them. They're spending more time working out how to deal with the Burke family than they are how to deal with the criminal legal invasion of our country. That's second reality.
Last week at the courthouse, whenever they were videoing the guards coming out, and I think they just crossed over the street and they were straight back in. But one of the ladies that was videoing it, one of the Garda sergeants, who was a smug prick.
Yeah, that was the Cork rounds.
He was a smug prick, but he was walking along grinning, and she said to them, "Look at the manpower that's being dispatched here today to potentially arrest two women. And when you think of all the drugs offences and all the problems that Ireland has with drugs," and then he turned around and he said, "Do you have any information we could go on? Yeah. Is there something you know that you want to divulge of us?" with this shit-eating grin on his face. I mean, like, again, if he can't even disguise that, his contempt for them, if he can't disguise it, and he takes perverse pleasure out of grinning, smirking, and making side swipes at them, what chance do we have really when the judiciary?
I saw that. Yeah, but I described this year as a pivot. 2026 is going to be a pivotal year for the future of Ireland, and I know we're talking about the Burkes, and it's all interconnected and whatever. But in relation to the Guards, if we have a chance to cover maybe a little bit more on Mr. Trump, but the Guards, this is going to be, I mean, Ireland as a country, this is a pivotal year, and one of the reasons is that Ireland is at serious risk of becoming an economic wasteland because of the anti-Israel stance of the Irish government and of the majority of the majority of our politicians, and I could say that the majority of our people as well. They don't realize the game of chicken that we're playing at the moment. It could all end up very, very bad for Ireland. When you take into consideration that three companies, I think it's Google, Microsoft, and Eli Lilly, are paying 50% of all of the Irish corporation tax, 50% of all of the corporation tax that's going into our traitorous government's coffers. All right, and we hear an awful lot about Ireland being Ireland is the only English-speaking country left in the European Union, so we're basically untouchable. Wrong, we're not untouchable. Do you know that there are more fluent English speakers in Poland than there are in Ireland?
It doesn't surprise me.
Well-educated, fluent English speakers. I'm talking about speaking fluent English. And if Google or Microsoft decide if they decide that, you know what, we're fed up with the anti-Israeli fucking bullshit emanating from the Irish government and from a large percentage of Irish people, we're going to move over to Poland, where they have a very articulate, well-educated workforce, and we're going to set up business there, and that will create a domino effect. Okay, and before people start saying, "Oh, he's in Israel. Oh, he's a Zionist," I am an Ireland first, Ireland firstist. I am Ireland first. I want Ireland, I want the Irish race to survive and to thrive. End of story. Our government are playing Russian roulette with the futures of the Irish people, with the future of the Irish people. Okay, that's what they're doing. And something else is going to happen. I know I'm going off topic here, but Donald Trump, it's been suggested that Donald Trump is going to come to Ireland for the Irish Open. Is it, or he's going to pay an official visit? Apparently, it's rumored that he's going to be asked to come to Ireland on an official visit sometime in September. I think I heard September mentioned. Maybe I'm wrong, but I heard September mentioned. Right? Mm-hmm. If Donald Trump sets foot in Ireland, if Donald Trump comes to Ireland on an official visit, if every available guard turns out to patrol or to work for the time that he's here, and all of our soldiers line out to assist as well in securing to operate and to secure Donald Trump and his entourage while they're in Ireland, it still won't be enough. You'd have hard left extremists traveling here from all over the United Kingdom, from all over Europe, to protest against Donald Trump's presence. And now, as a result of the war in Iran, my God Almighty here, I mean, I don't believe that the combined members of An Garda Síochána, ably assisted by the members of our defence forces, will be able to cope with the number of far-left communist extremist scum that will travel to Ireland to protest against any Donald Trump visit to Ireland.
Well, if they came out the way they did at the GPO and the City Hall in Belfast against a small group of Iranians with such venom, you can only imagine what they would do if the Donald set foot on the Emerald Isle. Now, I do want to keep it on topic here because that story about Martina and Amy is also supplemented by the move, which many people weren't actually aware that happened. There was a video put up about this on Isaac Burke's page, which I'm going to show you a clip of now. But Enoch Burke was bundled into the prison van without any warning, told to gather up his belongings, taken to Castlereagh prison, into squalor, apparently, given a prison job in the kitchens there. And now he's been moved. This was an article that was published today in the Irish Mirror, but he was moved on to his 2B wing because they believe now he's a target and that he will almost certainly be attacked by someone that wants to blag a celebrity scalp, as it were. So he's being moved on to a wing with let's just say not very nice people who also are the targets of attack also. But let's hear from him. And again, there's a psychological element to this too, which is what you were talking about earlier on, and I want you to expand on that too, what they're trying to do to really crack him, because they're having no luck with it so far. So this is Enoch's brother, Isaac, one of the few left who hasn't been kicked out of court or jailed yet either. So this is Isaac Burke.
Enoch has since spent, as we know, 600 days, over 600 days now, in Mountjoy prison in Dublin. Well, the latest news is that yesterday morning at around 9:30, without any warning or notice, Enoch was told to gather his belongings and bring them to a prison van. He wasn't told what was happening to him, where he was going, and he wasn't given any reason for this. He was then brought to a different location, and when he arrived, he was told he was at Castlereagh prison. Now, this is a prison that's some 2.5 hours away from Dublin. It's in County Roscommon in the west of Ireland. And when he arrived, he was told, "Oh, we're going to give you a job in the kitchen." And now Enoch Burke should not be in prison. That's manifestly clear. And it's been all the more apparent since the Department of Education themselves came out a few weeks ago and said that there is no legal obligation on schools to use the they pronoun for children, much less command teachers to do so under threat of losing their jobs. So this is a scandalous situation. It's a stain on our country that he's in prison at all. But now we have on top of this act now, this latest development by the prison authorities, which seems to suggest that they can simply do anything they want without any regard to law or order. The facts are that Enoch was committed to Mountjoy Prison most recently in January, on the 19th of January to be specific, and that order, which commits him to prison, specifically stated that he was to be detained in Mountjoy Prison in Dublin until further order of the High Court. Now, there's been no further order of the High Court, so what we have here is a situation where a man is detained in Castlereagh Prison without lawful authority, without any basis for that, which is an extremely serious matter. So this afternoon I appeared before Judge Brian Cregan in Dublin, and I laid out these facts. I said, you made an order yourself on the 9th of January where Mr. Burke was to be detained in Mountjoy Prison, and he didn't deny that. He couldn't deny it. I said, now we have a situation where the prison authorities have simply moved him without warrant, and he had nothing to say. I said to him, you must direct that this is wrong. At the very least, he shouldn't be in prison, but at the very least he should be where the court has directed him to be. But Judge Brian Cregan prevaricated, he obfuscated, and essentially said he couldn't do anything about it at that moment. And this is a scandal now, that Enoch is simply thrown into another cell on the other end of the country, and we have a High Court judge whose own order has been breached, and yet it seems the prison authorities can do whatever they want. So that's the latest update on Enoch's situation.
So that's the brother. He was reporting in that after Enoch was taken up to Castlereagh in County Roscommon. So the move, John, he seemed to be, apparently the reports coming back from the prison were that a lot of men in that prison actually respected him very greatly. We know from the start of January, do you remember when the curveball was thrown when he was due to appear before his disciplinary panel? The judge told him he was going to release him, to which Enoch Burke replied, I didn't ask to be released.
No.
I'm happy preparing inside Mountjoy Prison, and if you let me out, I'm going to go straight back to the school and you're just going to have to arrest me again. He warned him in advance, which is what he did. It seemed to be he was causing no trouble in Mountjoy. He was getting the respect of many of the inmates that were in Mountjoy. There's a group of guys that you mentioned there, and women, men and women, who are faithfully protesting out there on Sundays. You mentioned that as well. Is that literally a strategic move to say, well, he's finding favor? He's actually finding favor in Mountjoy Prison. Let's get him up to 3 hours drive away up in Roscommon, throw him into some less favorable conditions, give him a prison job in the kitchen to try and maybe break his spirit, because he should be teaching history and geography. That's what they keep saying. He already has a job. He should be doing it in the school instead of washing dishes in Castlereagh Prison. Is that part of the warfare?
You see, the prison authorities knew that he felt comfortable. Well, comfort is the wrong word to use, I suppose, but he felt he was used to Mountjoy. So by sending him to Castlereagh, they're just totally upending. You know, he's going to have to start. He's going to have to get used to a new prison system, and which kind of it's meant to be awkward for him. I mean, that's the sole reason for transferring him to Castlereagh, to make life more awkward for him, because. You see, he's not doing. I mean, there may be someone in what his brother is saying there. The order relates to Mountjoy Prison, because it's my understanding. I'm open to correction on this, but if somebody is convicted of contempt or found to be in contempt of court, that I think Mountjoy is the prison where you have to be sent. I think so. Maybe I'm open to correction on that. But I mean, if somebody is doing it, if somebody is sentenced to a defined prison term, they can be moved around. They could be sent to Wheatfield, or they could be sent to Cloverhill, and then they could be transferred to Limerick or Cork or whatever. You know, they have no say in that. That's up to the prison service. I think the fact that Enoch Burke is in prison for having found in contempt of court, I think there may be something in what his brother was saying there. I mean, that may be open to legal challenge. The fact that he was specifically, the court order specifically mentions or names or kind of nominates Mountjoy Prison as the prison in which he should be held. In the case of a so-called ODC or ordinary decent criminal receiving a prison sentence, then the prison service can do what they want. They can send them whatever they want to send them, regardless of what prison is on the original warrant. I think this may be open to legal challenge. Yeah, again, I'm open to correction, but I would say that the fact that he's not serving a defined prison sentence, and he's in prison for contempt of court. Yeah. There may very well be something in what his brother is saying here, yes, and that may explain why Judge Cregan remained silent and didn't give an answer when he was challenged.
The question that I have then would be, I believe that this prison that he's been moved to is classified as a medium category prison. Would I be right in saying that Mountjoy Prison in Dublin would be a higher category status prison than Castlereagh? Would that be right?
I'd say there are some bad hombres in Castlereagh, I can assure you. But
so that leads me to the next question.
It's the general. Well, maybe you mentioned he's with the convicted sex offenders.
But he's been put on a wing with them for, quote, his own protection, because there's a segregated wing, as you know, if anybody's...
Also, George, yeah.
So therefore, what I'm leading to is, okay, none of the types of criminals in Castlereagh, the same types of criminals would have been in Mountjoy. He's done over 600 days in Mountjoy, and not once, to my knowledge, has any concern been expressed about his personal safety or moving him to segregated conditions. Now, 600 days in Mountjoy, and within 3 days of being moved to Castlereagh, a lower status prison, possibly, we're now being told that he's a target. He's had to be moved onto a protective wing, and he's going to be housed with convicted sex offenders. Again, is that not to rub salt in his already open wounds? The fact that he's having to literally been kept there with them for his own protection.
Well, I don't know if he was in the general prison population in Mountjoy either. I don't know, but I can tell you I believe that the main reason for transferring Enoch Burke to Castlereagh Prison was to mess with his head. Because he was used to his surroundings in Mountjoy. I'd say he was kept in the same cell, or he was kept in the same general area within the prison that he was in for over 600 days. I'd say this is purely to obstruct the family, to kind of to knock him out of kilter, to make life more difficult for him. And I think that I suspect he will find life in Castlereagh slightly more difficult than he found life in Mountjoy. Now, I'm not saying that both prisons, he was still behind high walls, but this is part of a campaign. I mean, I referenced psychological warfare earlier on, and so did you, in relation to his mother and to his sister. And this is all part of it, to make life as uncomfortable as possible. Don't be surprised. I'm actually surprised that it's moving to Cork Prison, to be honest with you. But I mean, the high security prison is in the Midlands. The Midlands prison and the old Portlaoise prison, they're the two high security prisons in the country. But Castlereagh is where the murderers of Detective Gary Jerry McCabe were kept. They were kept in an area called the Grove. They had the run of the place, really. They weren't really. I don't think they weren't locked up 23 hours a day or whatever. They were kept. It's a kind of an open area within the prison. There are a couple of buildings within a kind of an open area, and I think they have their own individual bedrooms, and I don't think the doors are locked at night. It's called the Grove in Castlereagh, and that's where they were kept. And I can assure you, poor Enoch has not been kept there. He's been kept. As you alluded to earlier on, he's been kept now in the segregation unit with the sex offenders. All right, because there is a pecking order in every prison. There is a hierarchical system in every prison, and sex offenders are very much at the lowest. They're seen at the lowest of the low, but by the rest of the so-called ODCs, the ordinary decent criminals. He's basically sent down there. There was some talk about it was for he breached discipline. I find that very difficult to believe, to be totally honest with you. But
Yeah.
they're getting fed up with the Burkes. They want to crush the Burkes. I mean, we saw the line of guards. Maybe the man with the smart remark about if you have any information, contact us. And that was within the curtilage of the four courts. Where I saw those guards walk, and they walked out with the court, and they all walked back towards the Bridewell Guard station. How many guards were there? Was there 10? Did I count 9 or 10 guards?
There was between 8 and 10, John.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I mean, the Burkes are seen as the Burkes are the primary concern now of our justice system and of our traitorous government. The Burkes are very high up on the list of important people that have to be dealt with.
Well, pausing on the Burke business, because again, I mean, it's far from over. I think what you're going to find is this. I hope there's not a bad news story comes out of that Castlereagh prison in the case of somebody maybe has decided to take to him, or one of the two ladies that are now going to be incarcerated after Cregan's ruling yesterday. I want to look at there's been changes also to rental setups. Landlords are looking to get out of the market. Vulture funds could be swooping in because of some of the changes that the government are bringing in. One particular place, I've got it's a heartbreaking story here, but this will apply probably to a lot of people that are listening to this, that are living in Ireland at the minute. If they're not experiencing this personally, they're maybe seeing friends or relatives or possibly children can't get a house, facing eviction, looking to leave the country because they literally can't afford to make a life for themselves here in Ireland. But listen to this story here. 37 families, approximately 100 people in one development alone, potentially will be facing homelessness within the next few weeks. And some of these people have also lost their jobs this week as well. It's a horrendous situation to be in. But let's hear from them. And again, deafening silence from the government about what's actually going to be done about it.
Called into the office and told I was laid off. Plus, on the way back, the wife rang me up and told me that we got an eviction note. Nightmare. She don't sleep. Don't know what to do. No job.
I've spent the afternoon here in Bridgetown, County Wexford, and the shock, panic and confusion among locals was truly palpable. 37 houses in one estate called Hazelwood received a eviction notice on Friday evening. That represents about 100 people. And there was a lot of confusion too, because this happened just 48 hours before the government's new tenancy rules kicked in. And these rules bring a lot more security of tenure for renters. But these people were told that the landlord is selling up and that they'll need to find a new place to live with a notice later in the year. I spoke to Greta and Stephen, both of them Hazelwood residents. Greta said that she looked on Saturday for an alternative place to live in Wexford on daft.ie. She could only see 20 houses that were applicable. Stephen had also received some very bad news on Friday afternoon and then came home to this eviction notice. Let's have a listen to their experience.
We earn too much to get assistance like HAP or go onto the social housing list, yet we don't earn enough to get a mortgage. Which is one thing that I will never ever understand, is if we can pay that €1,200 rent, why can't we get a mortgage? I mean, if we can pay rent, we can pay a mortgage.
Well, Friday when I was finished work, I was called into the office and told I was laid off. Plus, on the way back, the wife rang me up and told me that we got an eviction note. Nightmare. She don't sleep. Don't know what to do. No job.
You can really hear the heartbreak there in Stephen's voice, and that heartbreak was palpable among many residents living in that housing estate. Now, as I said, the Housing Minister, James Brown, is a constituency TD here, and this afternoon he released a statement. In it, he said he is very concerned about some of the reports over the weekend and that he won't stand for it. He went on, "Let me be very clear. There's a lot of misinformation out there insinuating this move by the landlord is a reaction to the new rental rules. The fact is that existing tenants have rights and the landlord has responsibility
responsibilities under existing legislation. That existing legislation he's referring to is the Tyrrellstown Amendment, and that stops landlords selling 10 or more properties in a single development at once without keeping the tenants in situ. So this has given a little bit more clarity, a little bit more peace of mind for the residents, but the turmoil of the last 2 days can't be undone. A lot of people are still feeling very insecure in their homes. The eviction letters were sent from a Wexford company called Platchflow Limited, and I've contacted them for comment this evening.
Can you even imagine, getting sacked from your job on a Friday afternoon, going into the weekend, your head in a tail spinning in on your way back, the wife calls and says, listen, we've just got an eviction notice as well. There's 20 properties on the market in Wexford at the minute. There's 37 families all being booted out at the end of the month. Like, what the hell do you do, John? What are you supposed to do?
Well, I saw the pain in Stephen's eyes there, and a lot of many men are loath to show the true emotions. But poor Stephen there, you could see the pain in his eyes. God bless him. How many houses are in that estate that have been sold, roughly?
37.
Right. Well, those 37 houses now, are they going to be handed over to criminal illegal aliens? Are they going to be put in the open market to be bought by people that are trying to buy a house or looking for a house in the area? Be worth watching what happens with that estate. Will the vulture fund who owns that property, or the owners of those 37 properties, are they going to sell them as individual units, or are they going to sell them off to some big vulture fund to rent them out at exorbitant rents, or are they going to hand them over? Are they going to turn it into one big giant iPass of a plantation centre? And just getting back to what Mr. Minister Brown said there, again, to quote from my favourite publication, he was quoting directly from the Little Book of Bollocks. Now, in relation to the inability of people to find houses, last year the traitorous Irish government wasted, I'm not going to say spent, they wasted €1.6 billion on housing mostly criminal illegal aliens. Okay, they house some Ukrainians as well, but listen, that's another question. Another question has to be asked and answered is, how many of the Ukrainians that came to Ireland came directly from the war-torn areas of Ukraine, or did these people, how many of them came from European, from other EU countries, safe EU countries? That question has yet to be answered. But anyhow, how many social houses, how much social housing could be built for €1.65 billion?
Yeah.
Many houses could be built, even with the expensive cost of building houses in Ireland today. You could build quite a few houses now for €1.65 billion. Money that was wasted on housing and feeding criminal illegal aliens. That's where we are. And by the way, since the war in Iran broke out last Saturday, the price of heating oil, I'm lucky enough, I live near the border, I can go across the border, and traditionally I would save in excess of 20 cents per litre on kerosene. I can tell you the prices are rising in Northern Ireland as well, and they're really gone out of control here. And I wouldn't mind only the kerosene suppliers, the home heating oil suppliers, are still using the stock that they bought some time ago, but yet the price of home heating oil has rocketed since last Saturday, and we're not even. It's not even a week. No. We're not even a week into this war yet.
They're absolute bandits.
It's going to be, I can see. Yeah,
I've got a clip about that too. Actually, you didn't know I was going to play this, but this is Mary Lou questioning Mayhole about this, and his demeanor is bad enough, when he's on the world stage, but when he's being put on the spot, shriveled up position, and he's always looking down at his notes. He can't make eye contact with anybody at all that's giving him a hard time or putting him on the spot. But listen to what she's saying to him, and I think it's going to echo, love her or hate her, it's certainly going to echo the experiences of many people probably that are even listening in here tonight.
Hikes in the cost of home heating oil, prices having increased by as much as 35% in the last number of days. This morning I was contacted by a 94-year-old woman from Wexford who relies on home heating oil to keep her house warm. And only last week, the price for a half fill of oil from her provider was €464. But by midday today, that had jumped to €879. This extortionate hike puts this elderly woman under huge pressure, but her options are either pay up or go cold. And this woman isn't alone, Taoiseach. Yesterday on the radio, people spoke out about the price of home heating oil shooting up sharply in real time. Heating oil providers have jacked up their prices by hundreds of euros, and this is blatant price gouging and greed. Of course, the price surge is also hitting motorists at the pumps, companies clearly taking advantage of this crisis to squeeze even more profit. Why wouldn't these companies jack up their prices? Because they know they have nothing to fear from you. You say the price gouging shouldn't happen, but then the question is as to what are you going to do to stop it? And you have literally no credible answer. How will you tackle these companies who are ripping people off?
How will he tackle those companies? He has no desire to tackle them, John. If he wanted to do something about it, soundbite saying it's not acceptable, don't cut the mustard. And she talks about heating oil, but this is also being felt at the petrol pumps. People are already stretched. I mean, people are skint at the minute. And John, it's almost as if they've got people's head in a vice, and instead of giving them a little easement at the minute, they're cranking that thing even harder. And they've also made it clear that they will be, doing no change to their proposed increase in the carbon tax. That's going to cripple people even further. And that wimp Jack Chambers, or whatever his name is, came out this week and say there'll be no support package for people at the minute. Suck it up.
Well, I mean, at face value, what you think that what Mary Lou is saying there, she's acting like a proper opposition leader, the way a proper opposition leader should act. But you see, getting back to the 1.65 billion euro of hard-earned Irish taxpayers' money that was wasted last year, housing and feeding mainly criminal illegal aliens. Mary Lou fully supports these criminal illegal aliens that our traitorous government spent 1.65 billion euro of hard-earned Irish taxpayers' money on last year. Like, she's talking all real pious and terrible, Father. But it's performative. It's great to see her without the hijab, by the way, there. I referenced that as well. The government gets approximately between 55 and 60% of the cost of a litre of home heating oil. In the same way they get at least that from the sale of every litre of petrol and diesel that's sold in this country as well. Why don't our traitorous, treasonous bastard government, why don't they reduce the tax? Well, first of all, abolish the carbon tax. Abolish all carbon taxes now. I mean, this is an emergency because it's not just home heating oil and petrol and diesel that we have to look forward to paying exorbitant prices for. And by the way, it is price gouging because you have outlets selling heating oil and diesel and petrol that are currently in their tanks and were in their fuel tanks, their storage tanks last Saturday, and they've still rose the prices just purely for greed purposes. But it's just we have to look forward to a big increase in the price of basic staples like bread, milk, and everything else. Every product that has to be transported by lorry to the shops to be sold is going to rise in price, because the likes of the companies are not going to. I mean, the supermarkets are not going to take the price. They're not going to take on the extra costs of transporting goods to their premises. No way. Everything's going to rise now over the next few weeks here, unfortunately. But Donald Trump has promised. I don't know how much oil we actually get from Iran, I don't know how much of the oil that we use is coming through the Straits of Hormuz. Now that's blocked at the moment. Well, the Iranians, unless they're going to use bows and arrows now, they ain't got a whole lot else to fire. But Donald Trump has said that the US Navy is going to ensure the passage of oil tankers through the Straits of Hormuz, starting almost immediately. I think they've already started to provide security for the oil tankers. But it just goes to show we're only about 5 days into this conflict, and the gouging. I mean, the greedy bastards are already flipping screwing their customers.
Real.
by in some cases almost nearly doubling the price of a litre of home heating oil, which is absolutely criminal. These people, they should be, I mean, they're not going to face any backlash, because where is your humanity? Traitor Martin hasn't got the balls, he hasn't got the testicular fortitude to do anything about it. That's the reality. We're going to hear lots of harsh words and big words and threats. You can expect an inquiry. There'll be an inquiry launched now into this, and of course it'll be forgotten about in a couple of weeks' time or a couple of months' time. We are facing, I mean, that poor man Stephen there, God bless him, he lost his job and now he's going to lose his house. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to live? I'd advise those people to dig in down in the housing estate and refuse to move, and force the Vulture Fund or whoever owns the premise or whoever owns this housing estate, force them into the High Court, force them to actually to go in and to get court orders to evict these people out, and they can keep this story going for years through appeals and whatever, and until the Vulture Funds are dying, because hopefully the Vulture Funds are on the verge of dying in this country. There's a court case pending at the moment, and with the help of God Almighty, that it's going to go in favour of the litigant, of a wonderful woman called Tracy O'Reilly. I hope to God Almighty the case goes in her favour, because the High Court already overturned a possession order that was granted against her in the High Court. It's now gone for a plenary hearing before the High Court, and unless the Vulture Funds can provide evidence of ownership of these loans, then they're in serious bother. All we can do is pray. It wouldn't surprise me if our traitorous government were to sneak in legislation through Dáil Éireann to rescue, to save the Vulture Funds, to save them from the fate that I hope is going to befall them very, very soon in this country. And it can't happen fast enough as far as I'm concerned. Mary Lou, yes, she's acting like the leader of the opposition, or she's pretending to be the leader of the opposition, right? In that last video shot that you played. But in reality, she is part of the problem. Sharia Féin are part of the problem. They are fully supporting the destruction of our country and the destruction of the Irish race. And I know that's not the reason, that's not the issue we're talking about, but I don't know whether you saw the Gripped article in the last few days, which has stated two shocking facts. 40% of 15 to 29-year-olds in Ireland were not born here or of one non-Irish parent, and at least 1/3 of births in Ireland are to mothers not born in Ireland. Now, if that doesn't fucking waken up the majority of dozy bastards that are keeping their heads fucking down and keeping their heads firmly buried in the sand, if that single story alone doesn't wake up these fucking fools to the reality of what's happening in this country and to the destruction of our lovely, beautiful country and to the destruction of the Irish race, then nothing else bloody well.
You know, when you said not last week, but 2 weeks ago and the week before that and the week before that, you know, this year, 2026, we're 2 months and a bit into it. You know, we're 9 weeks into it at the minute, 9 weeks out of 52. And look at all the shenanigans that we've covered in this short space of time.
And it's getting worse.
And when we come into January, John, after Christmas, people were getting squeezed. People were getting tight. And they were asking, how are we going to heat the house? How are we going to put petrol in the car? How are we going to do this? What are we going to do for renting? And since that, we're covering stories even here tonight coming into March where you're talking about the Straits of Hormuz and oil tankers being blocked and the price of heating oil being gouged by nearly 100% in five days. Now, can you imagine if this drags on or turns into a Ukraine type scenario where, you know, it's now, you know, over 4 years deep into that, and how everything was impacted when that thing kicked off. I can remember the price of heating oil and petrol. It was nearly €2 for a litre of diesel up here. I don't know what that, €220 or something like that for a litre of diesel. Extortionate. And the price of heating oil as well, I think 900 litres was working out at about £1,500. It was insane. And that was right in the middle of around about February, March time. So this woman, who's 94, who apparently allegedly wrote into Mary Lou and voiced her concerns, whether she's real or not, or it's a soundbite, I know there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of pensioners all over the length and breadth of the island who are struggling at the minute, young families that are struggling, that man and his wife who don't know where they're going to go. You're talking there as well about whole communities digging in to their houses to stop being evicted, to fight off the vulture funds, John. You know, that's not a sign that things are going the right way.
Sadly, I'm familiar with the vulture funds, Rick. I know how they operate, but I mean, the cheapest diesel in Cavan town this evening, this is the cheapest place, right? 189.9 a litre. That's about you could say €1.90 a litre. And that's only 5 days into this conflict. What's it going to be like this time next week? I heard a commentator earlier on today saying that he wouldn't be surprised if diesel and petrol rose up to €3 a litre. That's what. Now, who in the name of Christ can afford to pay €3 a litre for diesel or petrol? I mean, this is crazy stuff. I mean, this is. I mean, sorry when I say that. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of people that can afford that, but I'm on about the ordinary working people that are already struggling. That are already struggling to survive in this country. Hard-working Irish men and hard-working Irish women that are trying to raise families and keep their heads just above water. How, in the name of Jesus Christ Almighty, are they going to be able to afford €3 for a litre of petrol or a litre of diesel long term? I'm talking about long term. Now, with the help of God,
the prices go up quick, John. The prices shoot up like a rocket. But even when the easing comes, they drift, they flutter down like autumn leaves. They go up like rockets, but they drift down again like autumn leaves. And again, listen, we're just normal everyday people. You and I, there's nothing fancy or grand about us. And I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of people that would listen to this or that are sitting inhabiting the live chat at the minute are in the same position. They're looking at their budgets and they're going, you know, it's tight. Some people are getting it tighter than others, but this could be the last straw, unfortunately, for many people that are maybe even listening in here tonight.
Like what comes next there'll be interest rate hikes as well, because it's all part of the globalist agenda. With oil prices, then there's a knock-on effect. Food prices will rise, then interest rates will rise. It is shocking, and my understanding is that we get most of our oil from the North Sea. Now, the North Sea is not anywhere near Iran, is it? No, it's not. Now, you see, the one thing Trump did when Trump got into power, he said, "Drill, baby, drill." And America is almost it's producing, I think, almost enough fuel to keep the place going. They still import a lot of oil as well, I suppose, but it's just shocking here. It's shocking what's happening here. And like Micheál Martin with the head down today, like he wasn't able to answer the question. He can't. No. I mean, when he's confronted with reality, he's very good at sound bites. And waving his hands around the place. But when it comes to being a real leader, I mean, imagine comparing him to the leaders of old like De Valera and Sean Lemass. Imagine comparing that piece of that limp lettuce to Sean Lemass or to Eamon De Valera or to some of the other great leaders that we've had in this country. There is no comparison. It's like Donald Trump. When he said about Starmer, about that fucking dope Starmer, he said he's no Winston Churchill, and that was really he didn't have to say any more than that. No. He's no Winston Churchill. He repeated it today as well, right? But I mean, imagine when you look at all the great leaders of the UK, whether people are pro-British or anti-British, or just look at the great leaders that they've had down the years, the strong leaders that they've had, and now look what they're left with. Keir Starmer. Holy mother of God.
Starmer is the English equivalent of Micheál Martin. I mean, Starmer went hell for leather to shut down the North Sea oil business and with the help of Ed Miliband. And it's no different than their equivalents over in Leinster House. And they're the most self-sabotaging.
Oh, God.
Group. And the fact is that those people that we seen right at the start of this stream standing on the street with those keffiyehs around their heads and their baseball caps on, hanging on about Iran, they're the people not necessarily that would vote for Micheál Martin, but they would happily bring in the like of Paul Murphy, Ruth Coppinger, Mary Lou MacDonald, Catherine Connolly, and some unholy social democrat left-wing alliance that would ultimately be like jumping from the frying pan and into the fire, and they don't ultimately realize that those flag wavers, they're the ones that are. Micheál Martin's not going to suffer in all of this.
But they're an unnatural. You see, they're part of an unnatural alliance. UNA, U-N-A. You have the far left and the Islamists and the Muslim Brotherhood. They're all in bed together. They're all drinking from the one fucking teat.
Yeah.
They're all in bed together. It's an unnatural alliance, and the Islamists are using these useful fucking idiots. And that gobshite in the north saying that, well, he's no big fan of the Islamic regime. Yeah, right. You're a useful idiot for the Islamic regime, for the Iranian Islamic regime.
Yeah.
Whether he wants to accept it or doesn't want to accept it, he's only a useful idiot. That's all he is, a useful idiot. But it's an unnatural alliance. The far left, communists, the Islamists, they're all in bed together. They're all part of the problem. And what we have to find very, very quickly is the solution to that problem. Now, you mentioned deporting them, and I saw the video, a very, very funny video where you were saying deport them. Not a bad idea. I mean, I'd suggest that Paul Murphy and Ruth Coppinger head out now to Tehran. I'll help with their fares. I don't have a whole lot of money, but I will donate to their airfares and let them go and fight for their Islamic brethren out in Iran if they want to go out, and see how long they would last. Start. I'd suggest to bring not just the rainbow flag, but the Progress Pride flag with them, and start flying it around Tehran and see how many minutes they survive.
I tell you, John, it's a mad state of affairs. I'm trying to give people an idea what's happening, whether it be in the justice system, the policing system, the energy sufficiency, the housing situation. We're trying to cover as much as we can, but unfortunately, we only have a finite amount of time. And we're doing our best, I think, with what we have, the time that we have, and the facilities that we have. But folks, the only thing I would say is, and I want to wrap this up, to be honest with you, because I want to let you guys get off and do whatever you got to do, get to bed and whatnot, and prepare yourself for whatever may lay ahead tomorrow. But just think about things. Focus on your own home. Focus on your own family first and foremost. Put blinkers on. Don't worry about what's happening in Israel and Palestine and Sudan and Somalia and the Middle East and Ukraine and all that. Focus on your own house. Make sure that you're looked after. Your mind is as sound as it can be. You try and not blow money on stuff that you might regret because you might need it in another 6 months to a year's time. Be sensible. Keep your wits about you. Keep looking over your shoulders. Keep your back to the wall. Don't let people come up behind you in public places. And I sound paranoid, but the amount of people that have been attacked and savaged this week have lost track. We're not even talking about crime here tonight either, by the way. We're just talking about general issues here. So, yeah, keep your doors locked. Somebody said lock your doors. Don't have nightmares. The amount of people that have been walking into other people's houses, let's just say, from new to the parish, is unbelievable, and I don't think we'll hear the end of that one either. But share this thing out. Hit the share button, folks. You may have joined late. You may have been here the full length of time. If that's the case, thank you very much for everybody that's left a comment, for all the people that share these and hype these videos. You really are helping out, folks, and I really do appreciate it. Mr. Wilson, is there anything you'd like to say in parting shot before we get off this stream?
I think we're facing into a very difficult time in our history. The Irish people are the forgotten people in Ireland. Everybody else is more important than Irish people. And the High Court judgment, I think I referenced it last week or 2 weeks ago as well, the High Court judgment, where a High Court judge, he literally said that criminal illegal invaders have more rights in Ireland than Irish people, when he awarded one of them 9,500 and the other individual, an Afghani 9,500, and he awarded an Indian was 6,500. I mean, that judgment literally tells the Irish people that we are second-class citizens in our own country. That these people have to be prioritized for housing. And they have to be looked after before Irish people are looked after. That's what that judgment literally means. And just in conclusion, I think we'll finish off now on a positive note. I don't think Gentlemen, to all the gentlemen listening, just a bit of news for you. You'll be able to run in this year's VHI Women's Mini Marathon in Dublin. That's the good news, because they have decided that the VHI Women's Mini Marathon, like the secret's in the name, Women's Mini Marathon, is a women's event, and anyone who identifies as a woman is welcome to take part. We have a strong diversity and inclusion agenda, and welcome women of all ages and levels of fitness in a positive and non-judgmental manner. So if I stick on a dress and the old beard and whatever, and change my name to Mary, I can compete in the. It's great news.
You know what? You don't even have to wear a dress, and you don't even have to change your name. Just John with your normal getup will be fine. Because if anyone was to question you and say, you're a woman, but you're wearing a pair of jeans and you're called John, you can't do that, John, because that's offensive. That's offensive.
Well, in fairness, right? Well, I was christened. I'm actually John Martin Mary, so I can actually legally use the word Mary. You know what I mean? I mean, an awful lot of boys were named in those days that were christened. There was a girl's name included in their overall in their list of forenames. But I always, you know, yeah. I mean, I've always for some reason I've always wanted to run in the VHI Women's Mini Marathon, and now really by reading this tweet, I know. I mean, this is what I've always wanted to do. This has been an ambition of mine for many years. Oh, Mother of Jesus Christ! Just my final couple of words are, you know, just for these fucking imbeciles who put out that tweet. Sex is immutable. Sex is immutable. A baby born with a penis and a prostate will be a male for the duration of his lifetime. You can't change your sex. Enoch Burke is fighting like hell to try and get that across to these stupid effing morons of people in this country. I mean, the many. I know it's a minority, but it's a sizable minority. There are a sizable minority of imbeciles in this country who actually believe that men can just morph into women just at the stroke of a pen. This bullshit is real, to be honest with you. It is horrendous, right? But I think we have to show kind of some kind of positivity at the end of this podcast. We have covered some very troubling stories over the last hour and 50 minutes or so. And people have to maintain a modicum of optimism. That's all I can say. I mean, there's not much to smile about. And unfortunately, you can call me a glass half empty individual, but unfortunately, it's looking like we're in for a few tough weeks, if not tough months. But we're going to have to weather the storm in the best way we can, unfortunately. And I mean, God bless each and every one of you out there. And I'm sure we'll hopefully talk again very soon.
We will indeed. John, to you, again, thank you personally for taking time out of your evening tonight to come on here and speak so freely, so frankly, and so openly and honestly, and very knowledgeably as well. You add a lot of depth to these stories that I try and cover at a relatively high level. So thank you, John Wilson. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and another shout out to 420 Audits. Don't know if he's still there or not, but he gave out some memberships earlier on, and Saoirse as well. Everyone,
everybody else,
we really appreciate it. But go and check out 420 Audits channel. Subscribe to it. He does some great citizen journalism work around Dublin as well. So for now, anyway, that's John Wilson. I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, and we are over and out.